Behind us is the Honda Jazz.
Now this is the funky hatchback from the Japanese manufacturer, and the Jazz was first introduced in 2001.
It's still as popular today. The model we have here is just over £18,000.
You can also get a CVT gearbox, you can get manuals, you can get 1.3s and you can get 1.5s, and there's a really great starting price for the normal Jazz, isn't there?
Yeah, it's just over £14,000. The model we have here has the 1.5 VTEC engine with a manual gearbox.
Now that will pull 0 to 60 in 8.7 seconds, and I think it's about 130 PS.
It's very impressive. You don't expect it from a Jazz.
Neither does anyone else either.
I'm going to be taking a look at the practicality, the functionality.
I'll be looking at the exterior, the build quality.
We'll then both be driving it and then bring you our verdict on whether or not this is the car for you.
If you like cars, well, Planetauto is probably a home to be. So why not subscribe to our channel and look at our social media and see what you think.
Well, then you get all of our latest great car videos.
Well, exactly, and our show coverage as well.
Stepping into the Jazz, you're met with a sporty feel, with these buckety seats, the red stitching around the edges, and also on the gear shifter, and the leather-wrapped sporty steering wheel. There are some hard plastics, but it doesn't detract from the overall experience of the car, and everything feels very well screwed together. When it comes to functionality, you have all-around electric windows, power-folding electric door mirrors, automatic lights with self-dipping, automatic wipers, cruise control, your media controls. It's very well kitted out for a car this size. You have also got collision detection and some rather clever braking systems. We'll get to that later in the video when we do the driving. The infotainment system is an Android-based system. We have the Sport Navi model, so it means that we have a Garmin sat-nav. It would have been nice to see something like Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but you do have sat-nav, DAB radio and Bluetooth connectivity. The air conditioning is all manual, but it's nice and easy to operate. There is also a HDMI port, a USB and a 12-volt socket. You also have stop-start, hill start assist and the USB in the central storage area. When it comes to practicality, I've got lots of headroom and lots of legroom. I'm 6 foot tall, there's plenty of adjustment in the seat, it is all done manually. The steering wheel has height and reach adjustment. When it comes to storage, you have decent sized door bins. You even have a cup holder up on the dashboard, which is very useful. Why don't all cars have this? 2 more cup holders in the middle here, a storage tray for your knickknacks, a central storage area here for something like your phone, and a decent sized glove box. Overall, the Jazz is great value for money. It's very practical, it's very comfortable, and it's very well kitted out. You can even opt for things like a reversing camera if you want to. Stepping into the back of the car is nice and easy, thanks to the doors opening nice and wide, and these rear seats not being too low. That's thanks to Honda's Magic Seat system, but we'll get to that later in this video. I'm 6 foot tall, and I've got a decent amount of headroom and quite a lot of legroom. This seat's set up for Ben, he's 6'2". You'd be able to fit 2 adults back here, not a problem, free on shorter journeys. You have also got ISOFIX points on both these outer seats. You've got decent sized door bins and electric windows. There is also curtain side airbags. It would have been nice to see something like a pull down armrest. It would have also been nice to see some padding on the door card. There is a little bit on the side, but just somewhere where you rest your arm. Now, something you don't get in other cars is the rear seats lift up. So it means that you can fit something like a mountain bike back here. It is also nice and light and airy because there is no privacy glass. Coming round to the boot of the car, the boot opening is wider and lower than you might expect. Now that doesn't mean that you can't stand underneath the boot lid. I'm 6 foot tall. But it does mean that the load lid is much lower than you might expect, and it's nice and easy to load heavy things in and out of. You have 354 litres of space on offer with the seats up, a decent amount of storage underneath the boot floor. Once the seats are folded down, the space increases to 1,314 litres. It's in fact on par with smaller MPVs. The seats do fold virtually flat, and there is also tethering points and an inflation kit underneath the boot floor.
The first thing you'll notice about the Honda Jazz is this aggressive sporty styling. You've also got the iconic Honda grille, and this red trim that runs along the bottom of the bumper denotes it's the sport model. The sporty theme continues with these body lines, and also you can't forget this pearlescent paint. It's a £500 option, but it really makes the car pop. You've also got automatic headlamps with auto dip, rain sensing wipers, and a range of safety equipment housed at the top of the windscreen. Coming around to the side of the car, you're immediately met with these sporty black alloys. They're 16-inch. You've also got the power folding door mirrors. They're also black, but that adds to that sporty appearance. You combine that with the sporty sills and, well, you've got a rather sporty looking car. You've got no privacy glass at the back, but that does make it light and airy. And if you do need privacy glass, you can get that as an option. Stepping around to the rear of the car, the theme continues with this rear diffuser with the sporty red trim surrounding it. You've also got a spoiler with a brake light. Now, one thing that is strange is there is no sport badge on the car, but that gives you the element of surprise. You've also got parking sensors, sculpted rear lenses, and if you upgrade to the safety pack, you get a reversing camera.
So what's the Honda Jazz like to drive? Well, I for one have been quite surprised.
It's not quite like you're led to believe, is it?
No, like they're in what, their third generation now.
Yeah.
And you don't associate a sporty short shift gearbox, a high revving 1.5 litre engine, and some rather impressive handling.
Yeah, and some brakes and stability control too.
With a Honda Jazz, you think, they're very practical, they're very, reasonable, that sort of thing.
Well, exactly. I suppose the clue with the Sport is the fact that it's named VTEC or iVTEC. It's injection, and it's that infamous VTEC engine which we know loves to rev.
Well, that's it. You do have to learn in this car that you do have to rev it very high.
Yes.
But that's the nature of the engine.
But it goes.
Oh, it really does. It can really pull. Like, we had my 1 litre turbo Fiesta behind, and it can't keep up with this.
No.
I really like the gearbox. It's got a really nice, short, precise shift. It's more like something you would find in like a Fiat 124 or a Mazda MX-5.
Well, that's it. You can shift down very quickly, especially if you're cornering spiritedly, shall we say. It's very easy to drop a gear because of that setup. It is very, very well set up. I'd love to see what they do with the Type R version.
Well, it has very good ratio, very good ratios.
Yeah.
But then, what's very surprising is it always tells you to upshift and how well the engine can pull.
Yeah.
Sort of 40 miles an hour in 5th, 6th gear, and it can still pull.
Yeah, and the thing that really surprised me about this car is you can travel at about 22 miles an hour and it tells you to be in 6th gear.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is.
And it doesn't pull back, does it? You're in 6th gear. You could still accelerate and pull away, which you wouldn't expect. You would expect to having to drop to, say, 4th.
Yeah. Something I also really noticed, getting back in my own car, is how light the pedals are. The clutch is really light, and also the steering is very light as well. I hadn't really noticed it, from driving it a couple of days, but when I got back in my own, you do.
That's really strange, because when I was driving it, it does feel... it feels like it weightens up, doesn't it, when you're cornering? It seems to engage spirited driving.
It also handles very well on a motorway. You can very happily sit at 70 miles an hour and the car doesn't move around. It feels very solid, very under control.
Plus, I noticed as well, and this was not what I expected from this car, you can switch lanes at 70 miles an hour very, very easily.
Yeah.
There's no wobble, there's no lean, it will just literally, you'll point it and it will go.
With the parking sensors on the front and the rear as well, it's very easy to park. You've got good all-round visibility.
Big windscreen.
Yep, especially with these little windows at the front. I am sure that is the official name for them.
Yes, not quarter windows.
No, that's not it at all. But yeah, it's a very easy car to drive. It's very effortless almost.
It is, but it's, like you say, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. People don't expect this to perform the way it does on a motorway.
That's it. I had no idea that it was going to drive like this.
It's rather fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be real fun, and that's the nice part about it. You can, you know, it is still the very practical, very sensible,
dependable,
jazz,
economical.
Yeah, jazz that you know, but it's, you know, it's got a
sporty, darker side.
Exactly, that's it.
The thing that really staggered me, and this is even after driving it very spiritedly, you'll get just under 50 to the gallon.
I know that like I struggled to get this car below 50 miles to a gallon.
I managed, what was it, 49.2?
Exactly, that's it.
Yeah, and that was really pushing it.
When the car arrived, it had about 55 mpg on the clock, which I think is very impressive.
Yes.
Like, although some of the competitors quote higher, they don't very often achieve it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I like about this car, Michael, is the fact that the engine is called Honda Earth Dreams.
Well, I think overall the car is cutting edge. You know, you've got.
It is, isn't it? It's made for that like future-proof type.
Well, it's got a lot of
experience
stuff you don't expect on a little car. You know, curtain side airbags, road sign recognition.
I know.
Lane keep assist, autonomous emergency braking. I think it's called city braking.
City active braking.
Exactly.
Right.
It's, you know, it's got all these things that you know, you quite often see them in the large German premium cars, but not in a small hatchback.
Don't forget, it's only around £18,000.
Overall, I'm very impressed with it. I think I would pick this 1.5 VTEC engine with the manual gearbox.
There's no reason not to when you get 50 to the gallon.
Well, that's it. Quite often the compromise with these sportier models is that your economy suffers, and I think the 1.5 actually pays an advantage to it because it's under such little strain.
I know.
To pull along a car like this.
That's the thing about it. You've got the economy, you've got the practicality, you've got the safety. Everything you get, and for that price, it's very good value.
That's it. Like, I only have a couple of little niggles. You know, some padding on the armrest would have been nice, and the infotainment system isn't the most refined system in the world.
No.
But it still has all the functionality you need.
Exactly.
So what's our verdict of the Honda Jazz?
Well, it's very cost effective, it's practical, it's rather punchy too.
It's got loads of tech on it and it's very practical.
It's rather clever as well. There's loads of safety features. You've got that active city braking, and you've got, well, you can upgrade to a reversing camera if you want.
You've got lots of things you don't expect on a car of this size.
It's very good value, isn't it?
Well, it's just over 18,000. You can get one from just over 14,000.
To get your 1.5 VTEC engine, you can also get a 1.3, a CVT, or the manual that we've got.
I think we would go with this one though, wouldn't we?
We really would, especially with the sound of that VTEC when you put your foot down and rev it hard.
If you're in the market for a small hatchback, it's well worth taking a look at the Honda Jazz Sport.
And one thing to note, it is NCAP safety rating 5.
Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest car reviews, and if you have any questions about this car, drop them in the comments below.